Hi, what? Yeah. Welcome to the White Guy Show. I'm Whitey, and I'm fighting a cold. It's coming on. I can feel it. I hate it. Got congestion in my lungs, my soreness in my throat, and my buddy that I give rides to work to every day has been sick and missed work, and now I'm like, ah. But I'm on vacation, so I don't have to worry about missing work. I just feel like crap. So in turn, however, again, I'm on vacation. Today's Monday. I don't go back until the Sunday. So I got to get a lot of reviews in, and I'm going to start here with the movie Backdraft. Now, Backdraft came out in 1991, and it's an American action thriller film. I'm reading off Wikipedia. Directed by Ron Howard, written by Gregory Wyden, and it stars Kurt Russell, William Baldwin, aka Billy Baldwin, Scott Glenn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Rebecca De Mornay, Donald Sutherland, Robert Downey Jr., followed by somebody named Jason Gedrick. Oh, that's Tim, I think, and T.J. Walsh. Some people. Oh, T.J. Walsh. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Anyway, it's a firefighter movie that again came out in 1991, and it was something that was going on in the early 90s where it had been a while since you'd had a good firefighter film. There were other films like it, like Memphis Belle, where the cinematography had improved since the old days, whenever that would be, and you hadn't seen this genre in a while. So Backdraft is a firefighter film. It looks great. Ron Howard does a fantastic job directing it. I just watched it today. It holds up. And there are some special effects in there, but you got to look for them because they're really well done. The cast is fantastic. Kurt Russell is phenomenal. Just phenomenal in this film. Donald Sutherland. Billy Baldwin works, but he works like Keanu Reeves in Point Break. There's a few pieces of dialogue where you're just like, you couldn't get another take. Like, really? That's the just try again, Billy. So when he works, he's a better actor than Keanu Reeves. Really, Keanu Reeves is a more believable actor, but still, it's just like not 100%er. He's a C plus kind of guy, but when he works really well. So I understand why they cast him. But the story goes, the film begins with a bunch of firefighters, of course, Scott Glenn being one of them. They're on their way to a fire. This is in Chicago, I believe, in the 70s. The first fire takes place, and there's a firefighter who gets killed in a big explosion as he's responding to a fire. His son picks up his firefighter helmet that went flying out the window. A reporter snags a picture. This ends up on Time magazine. And then you go 20 years later, and the film follows that firefighter's two sons, Stephen and, oh, fuck's sake, whatever Billy Baldwin's character's name was, Brian McCaffrey. They're the McCaffrey brothers. And, I'm getting sick and I can feel it. Kurt Russell, freaking hell, plays a firefighter named Brian McCaffrey, whose nickname is Bull. He's a lieutenant of a company of firefighters, the 17th, and they're a bunch of badasses as firefighter goes, and he's the lead badass as firefighter goes. He's a very experienced guy. You cut over to Billy Baldwin's character, Brian McCaffrey, and these guys, they're in their mid and late 20s. Is the feel of the characters. I don't know that they ever say an age, but they're their mid to late 20s. They're not little kids anymore. They're grown men, but they ain't old. And Billy, whereas Brian went straight into being a firefighter and is awesome at his job. Everybody respects him. No, Kurt Russell, who plays Steve Caffrey, I don't know. He's awesome. Brian, the younger brother, has gone around and tried a lot of different jobs. He's been through the academy before. He quit the academy, the firefighter academy, and he's just graduating from the academy after losing all his money on his various business ventures, and life ain't going anywhere. He's got an ex-girlfriend, I am sweating, I apologize, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, who's gorgeous, and they used to be in a relationship years ago. Brian has left to travel the country trying to make a quick buck. He's failed at everything. He's back home, just completed the academy with his buddy Tim, and then he runs into Jennifer Jason Leigh, who just got a job working at City Hall with the alderman, Swayzak, who's played by, I believe it's J.T. Walsh. And so Brian initially is going to go to this one house, but his brother pulls some strings and gets him on the same crew as him, and they go to fight fires together. Scott Glenn plays a guy who was buddies with their dad, who's still a firefighter now. He's the old veteran firefighter, and so they go to fight fires. It doesn't work. Brian McCaffrey actually tries, really puts in the effort, but he's just not made to be a firefighter. And the way his brother's this big hero. So one scene they're going in, and Kurt Russell, who's the other McCaffrey, I gotta look this up. Brian's the younger one. Criminy. Steven's his name. So Steven charges in, saves a baby, comes out of fire with a baby in his arm, whereas Brian hesitated, and he's like, I'm just not made out for this. I'm not my brother. I can't do this. And so he had earlier gotten an offer from this alderman named Swayzak, and he decides to take that offer, and that gets him in the office of Robert De Niro's character, who plays who's like a detective for the fire department. He determines whether it's arson or an accident, and Brian gets on that crew. I am sorry, that is a sock, and he starts doing detective work on these fires. Turns out you've seen as the audience member a couple guys get blown up as they're walking into. One guy comes home at night, opens the door, boom, he gets blown up and thrown into his car he just got out of. Another guy does the same thing at a theater, boom, and these are called backdrafts, hence the name of the film. And then there's another guy who gets killed, and it turns out that somebody's going around as Robert De Niro does the investigation. Someone's killing these guys. So they go to see Donald Sutherland, who's a torch. He's a guy who loves fire, and he used to burn buildings down for the business owner to get the insurance company. He got caught, and at one point they go to his what do you call it? The hearing to let him out, his parole hearing, and Robert De Niro exposes him that he's not recovered, that he's a sick man, and he's to stay in prison. Long story short, they have to find out who's killing these men, and then it turns out they were part of a task force that was shutting down fire departments and convoluted story to make money. And so someone's killing these guys who were making money off the death of firemen. And so that's the story of Backdraft. It's Ron Howard, of course. This is before Apollo 13, where he went into the stratosphere as a director. Still very solid work. The acting is really good. Billy Baldwin's a little hit and miss, but when he hits, he hits. Credit where credit's due. Scott Glenn does a great job. Everybody involved. Donald Sutherland. But the problem is, so the film looks good. The story's engaging. You're brought into what's going on. There's a love story. The ladies in these movies are hot. Or at least Jennifer Jason Leigh is smoking. Of course. Wow. But the better the actor that Billy Baldwin is around, and Billy Baldwin's the lead, you're following him the whole movie, the better the actor he's around, the more it just reflects the fact that he's not a great actor. He's not a horrible actor, but he's not a powerful actor. So there's a scene where he goes to see Donald Sutherland, who's still sitting in prison. And again, he's the guy who's sick, but knows fire. He knows how to start them. He knows arson. He knows how to do crime in regards to fire. He's the expert. And Donald Sutherland's on crushing it. He's on crushing it. And then Billy Baldwin gets up and he goes, "Who's doing this? Who's doing this, huh?" And you're just like, oh, no. In another movie, it wouldn't have been so bad, but the guy sitting in front of him, Donald Sutherland, is just doing a fantastic job. And so his C+ of a performance feels more like a C-. There's a little bit of schmaltz in this movie. There's, of course, it's very much like Memphis Belle. I'm going to do a review of that probably later today. if you were a firefighter for 30 years, you wouldn't have come across half the shit that happens in this film. Everything is at a 10. The big fire at the end, of course, it's a chemical plant that's on fire and shit's blowing up all over the place. And you might, of course, there's some sicko arsonist, Donald Sutherland. Then you got somebody who's murdering somebody. You got a corrupt politician. You got also a love story. And every firefighter watching this goes, I wish I was dating that hot chick at some point. I wish I was shagging her. I wish I had all this interesting other shit going on in my life. Instead, I just spray water and fire. you know. So it does that thing where it tries to, in the first act, give you the day to day, the everyday of a firefighter, and they do that fine. And I'm not a firefighter, but it looks believable, for the most part. But then it has to Hollywood it and blow it all up to a 10 in a way that just doesn't happen. Firefighters' lives aren't this exciting. Sorry, guys. So, but as a whole, Backdraft is a good movie. It's an entertaining film. It's eat your popcorn, eat your jujubes, have a good time. Movie. It's engaging. It pulls you in. With the exception of Billy Baldwin, the performances are really good here. Kurt Russell is fantastic as a firefighter. He sells it. I could believe that guy fighting fires. And then they had a few actual firefighters as some of the guys with the smaller roles that had just a few pieces of dialogue. But you can tell the difference. Here's the real guys. Here's the actors trying to be the real guys. And it stands out. But still a good film. So if you haven't seen Backdraft, do go check this out because it is a good film. Not quite. Ron Howard's not quite at Apollo 13 levels yet. All these, everything's not quite A plus, but a really solid B. It's a solid B of a film with a bunch of people in their careers on the way to going to the stratosphere the way Ron Howard did with Apollo 13. So go check out Backdraft. You will enjoy it. And thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Smash that subscribe button. And I'm on Twitter. I'm on Gabs. I'm on mine. Same name, White White Guy Show. And holler me out to your friends and family and enemies because Daddy needs a new pair of shoes and doesn't want to go to work anymore and wants to make $1 million in social media. And I'll see you on the next video. Cheers. I gotta hit the button. Hit the button.